Well, let's start with Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Now, of course, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Trump appointed Donald Trump.
Well, that's interesting because Trump.
President Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Trump has been president.
President Trump.
Caitlin, where are we right now in this sentencing proceeding?
Donald Trump.
Trump. We have a Donald Trump.
Donald Trump when it comes to Donald Trump.
Trump. And Donald Trump. Missing from that is Donald Trump.
You know, Trump.
Focus on Donald Trump. Trumpism. Trump. A lot of Trumps.
Fascinating.
Little pencil neck Adam Schiff. He's got the smallest, thinnest neck I've ever seen. He is not a long ball hitter. But I saw him today. Well, we don't really know. There could still have been some Russia collusion.
Congressman Adam Schiff, who, after years of claiming to have evidence in plain sight of clear collusion between President Trump and Russia, he's now dismissing the John Durham report, which, of course, found that there was absolutely no collusion. The entire narrative was made up by the Clinton campaign, as we reported to you extensively.
A few Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna filed a resolution calling for the expulsion of Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff from Congress over so-called revelations from special counsel John Durham's report. Congressman Luna alleged
Florida Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna.
Congressman Luna alleges that Adam Schiff lied to the American people. He used his position on House Intelligence to push a lie that cost American taxpayers millions of dollars and abused the trust placed in him as chairman. The Durham report makes clear that the Russian collusion was a lie from day one, and Schiff knowingly perpetuated that lie for political gain.
You little pencil neck.
The House Intelligence Committee pursued this and made public that this was a Russia hoax and that this was absolutely a Clinton campaign-funded allegation against Donald Trump. When you look at people like Adam Schiff, who's now running for Senate, I mean, people now know conclusively that Adam Schiff knew the answer and continued to lie to the American public.
What was it, a year and a half ago, when Adam Schiff came out and went on the Sunday morning programs and said, I have more than circumstantial evidence that there was collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russian?
All you have right now is a circumstantial case.
Actually, no, Chuck. I can tell you that the case is more than that, and I can't go into the particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now. So, again, I think...
So you have seen direct evidence of collusion?
I don't want to go into specifics, but I will say that there is evidence that is not circumstantial and is very much worthy of investigations.
What is your response to this move to try and expel you from the House of Representatives?
The Durham investigation, and again, this was an investigation Donald Trump demanded, an investigation of the investigators. Durham spends 4 years trying to prove this deep state conspiracy theory that Trump kept, telling his base was going to be proven, and people like Brennan and Pelosi and Schiff and others were going to be prosecuted. The whole thing, of course, was a big bust.
Well, what the report showed, James, is that the whole Trump-Russia collusion hoax was ridiculous. The FBI knew it was ridiculous early on.
The whole thing, of course, was a big bust.
And they participated, along with the Democratic National Committee, Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, the CIA, and a number of other malefactors in deliberately driving this false narrative for years.
The whole thing, of course, was a big bust.
The Durham report found that FBI officials suppressed information into allegations of impropriety within the Clinton Foundation ahead of that 2016 election. In fact, Durham writes, quote, "The Clinton Foundation matter, both senior FBI and department officials placed restrictions on how those matters were to be handled, such that essentially no investigative activities occurred for months leading into the election."
And so their response to this big disappointment for Trump and for the MAGA crowd, let's go after Adam Schiff. Let's go after the person they most view as standing up for the rule of law, as standing up against Trump and MAGA world, leading the first impeachment, participating in the January 6th committee. That's what this is about.
Special Counsel John Durham's 316-page report is devastating for those who push the Russian collusion lie for 4 years.
The campaign accepted help. The Russians gave help, and the president made full use of that help. And that is pretty damning.
I think frustrates me and should frustrate every American of goodwill is that when this information was received from the Australian intelligence community and Annie McCabe and Peter Strzok received it, they didn't verify it, they didn't check it out, they didn't compare it to what other intelligence operations knew about what the Hillary Clinton campaign was planning on doing. They immediately opened an investigation.
We now know that at the same time that James Comey was openly talking about a Hillary Clinton investigation, including up until days before the election, he was not disclosing to the public that there was also an investigation of the Trump campaign.
This report found the FBI should never have launched its investigation and that it had no real evidence before it launched its probe.
He was not disclosing to the public that there was also an investigation of the Trump campaign.
The key takeaways, there was no actual evidence to support launching Crossfire Hurricane. And also the Hillary Clinton campaign directly or indirectly funding and driving much of the investigation.
The FBI had relied on information that they knew was false, should have known was false. They took information that was not vetted to our FISA courts, which are our secret courts that allow U.S. law enforcement to spy on their own citizens.
He was not disclosing to the public that there was also an investigation of the Trump campaign. Now, I don't think that was because James Comey had a political axe to grind or was doing this in a partisan way. I do think it was an error in judgment.
The Obama administration, which was in charge at the time, used the FBI to try and get Donald Trump before he was president.
Hillary Clinton's campaign, who launched a smear campaign that was based on getting Russian sources to spread false information about Donald Trump and peddle it to the press and to the government, the FBI. And both the press and the FBI abandoned any semblance of professionalism and took up the cause with a vengeance.
Are you surprised that Speaker McCarthy is invoking your name? He is the Speaker of the House and is supposed to be above some of this petty political mudslinging.
This week, we saw cold, hard evidence of the Trump campaign, indeed the Trump family, eagerly intending to collude possibly with Russia, a hostile foreign power, to influence American elections.
He is the Speaker of the House and is supposed to be above some of this petty political mudslinging.
Republicans in Congress have become enablers of the Trump-Russia assault on our democracy.
I think that a lot of what's going on is what we've seen many times in the past, which is when Democrats do something for the right reason, they use the precedent to do something for the wrong reason.
The only person who knows whether there's hard evidence to prove Trump engaged in a conspiracy with Russia as of now is Robert Mueller, the man I call the iceberg.
Any collusion between Russia and Trump was ruled a hoax back in March of 2019 after Robert Mueller ended his special counsel investigation, which found no evidence to the wild conspiracy theory.
And the fact that the mainstream media still is not coming clean about this is just outrageous.
And Adam Schiff mentioned time and time again, clear evidence in plain sight. The only clear evidence I see is that we have a political double standard. The left is able to push whatever conspiracy theory they want. There's no consequences. In fact, they get rewarded. They win Pulitzers.
Bob Mueller will make the decision whether there is proof beyond reasonable doubt to indict and convict people. It is not his responsibility to tell the country what happened. It's the job of the Congress to tell the American people what happened.
And Adam Schiff is literally there pulling nonsense out of his ass and making up stories.
Whether it reaches the standard beyond reasonable doubt or we merely find clear and convincing evidence of collusion.
Adam Schiff is a snake. He's the biggest fraud on Capitol Hill right now.
So it's important, I think, that we set out the facts for the public.
Adam Schiff is a lying dirtbag.
Those Republican members who lack the courage to stand up to the most unethical president in U.S. history, Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, he said more than circumstantial evidence, more
proof that there was collusion between President Trump and Russia, and it was just all false. And frankly, now we know it was. Now that we've seen information, now that the Durham report has indicted Mr. Zussman and Mr. Danchenko.
I can certainly say with confidence that there is significant evidence of collusion between the campaign and Russia.
First of all, Adam Schiff is seriously the most pathological liar in all of American politics that I have seen in all of my time covering politics and journalism. He just fabricates and accusations at the drop of a hat, the way that other people change underwear. He's simply lying.
Whatever's going to come out, we're going to hear it from you before we hear it from anybody else, I hope.
Mr. Schiff is a shill for the Russian government.
You know, Congressman Schiff, I think a lot of people are very deeply appreciative of what you've done in Congress, and that the fact that you are not being cowed by these transparent attempts to oust you for reasons that have nothing to do with anything other than jealousy that you're effective at your job.
Adam Schiff, to me, he probably has done more to advance disinformation in this country than anybody else.
Jealousy that you're effective at your job.
And he abused his position as the chairman of the Oversight Committee because he implied that he had access to information that nobody else had access to, and he never did.
Jealousy that you're effective at your job.
This wasn't just any member of Congress making that statement. This wasn't just any chairman making that statement. This was the chairman of the Intel Committee, the committee that gets additional information than the rest of us get, going on television and saying something that was not true. That's the concern. And that is why so many Americans are upset with what took place for 3 years, all based on baloney.
Intel chairmen are supposed to be and have been traditionally among the wisest and least partisan and most honorable members of Congress. Schiff is none of those things. He's an unbalanced hack with a weakness for conspiracy theories. There's no part of the Russia hoax, no matter how absurd, he doesn't believe and repeat wholeheartedly.
Jealousy that you're effective at your job.
And the media is their arm. It is their PR arm. They can say whatever they want without any ramifications.
And in the wake of the added disappointment of the Durham report, let's go after Adam Schiff. Let's, please the MAGA crowd and send a message to anyone else that stands up to Donald Trump and the extreme MAGA world. We will go after you the way we're going after Adam Schiff.
Trump hatred is still so strong in California that they could actually put Adam Schiff in the United States Senate.
Well, this is the amazing thing, and this is why I think actually there's a real opportunity in this race, because of the fact that it's Adam Schiff, who's so partisan, who's a pathological liar, as we all know, and I think you'll have a whole tidal wave of support for Eric Early, the Republican, from all over the country, because Republicans say, no, anyone but Schiff. We cannot have Adam Schiff in the United States Senate.
U.S. Representatives for 12.
1/53 of California's House delegation is this Intelligence Committee chairman. His name is Adam Schiff. Back to you, Veronica.
Composers for 2,000. Jealousy that you're effective at your job.
I am your voice.
Hey, have you had a nap? You should get a nap in so you don't get this one wrong. They're not worried about getting it wrong. They're intentionally getting it wrong.